What's up, everybody? This is me, Yawar Manzoor, and I believe everybody of you is doing great, nice, and absolutely fine. And I welcome you to JEE English Unacademy. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't, okay? And press that bell notification because you will get the update every single time whenever we come live, okay? And like this video, mark the attendance, okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, we are running this Fury live, and my name is Yawar Manzoor. I'm a JEE Physics expert. Before that, I need to know in the live chat itself if you can hear me and if you can see me properly. Come on, all of you in the live chat itself. Drop a thumbs up, whatever you like, okay? And we will be starting the new chapter today. That's nothing but friction, okay? There's a sub-chapter. I hope everybody is doing great and everything is clear and fine. So, as I told you, we are running this Fury Live. Welcome to this Fury Live. Welcome to JEE English Unacademy. Hit the subscribe button right now. And my name is Yawar Manzoor. I'm a JEE Physics expert. Piece of information about me. Definitely you can read it out from the screen itself. Now, apart from this YouTube platform, we teach on Unacademy's own platform over there. If you want to learn from the country's top educators, if you want to basically take your rank to the next level, you have to come to Plus, you have to come to Iconic, understand? You will have to basically take this Plus subscription or you will have to take this Iconic subscription. Now you will say, what are the benefits that you're gonna get in this subscription? That is, you will be getting live classes every single day. You will be getting live classes, okay? And you'll be having weekly tests. You'll be having weekly tests. You'll be having structured courses. Understand? So, we say basically in this Plus subscription, live classes every single day, you can watch anybody's lecture. If, for example, in a particular category, there are 100 number of educators who are teaching you. For example, in IIT JEE, you can watch anybody's lecture. That's what we call the unlimited access, okay? And structured courses. The courses which have been designed by the country's top educators, the next level educators who have got 20 to 30 years of experience. They have designed the courses for you people only. And this weekly test, once you are done with the entire stuff that you have studied for the entire week, basically you need to go for this weekly test. That's mandatory, okay? Yes. And if you take this Iconic subscription, you will be getting all the benefits you get in Plus and some of the extra beautiful next level benefits in this Iconic subscription. And what are those? The first one is that's this personal guidance. That's personal mentorship, okay? The personal mentorship, okay? That is, you'll be given a personal mentor who will be helping you throughout your exam. How you can basically handle, how you can basically crack the JEE Advanced and Mains in your upcoming time. If you need any sort of clarifications, you have any sort of doubts, you can definitely ask that personal mentor. And this test analysis, once you are done with your test, understand, afterwards you will have to analyze your scores. In what portion you are lagging in what portion you will have to work more, in what portion you will have to focus more. So that is what we call the test analysis. This is exactly done from our end. Our educators will be basically analyzing your test scores so that you'll get good scores in the upcoming time. You don't have to worry about anything. You just have to focus on your studies only. Yeah, good evening. Okay, thanks, man. New student, welcome to JEE English Unacademy. Like your teaching style, means a lot. Thanks. And this is Yawar Manzoor. My name is Yawar Manzoor. You can definitely hit the follow button on Unacademy because we come up with special classes every single time that's completely for free for you people only, okay? And we are launching this course on Plus as well very soon, okay? Is everybody doing great in the live chat? I just need to know as soon as possible, ASAP. And these are the batches which will be starting from today itself, 22, 22, 22, 22, okay? All of these batches will be starting from today itself, like this Junoon JEE. Country's top educators will be basically teaching you over here. Evolve 2.0, this for the droppers, for 2022 people, JEE Mains and Advanced 2023, for droppers, you can definitely check this out if you want to basically take your rank to the next level. Because we have recently, Unacademy has recently proved that what can we basically do, understand? We have proved that AIR 1 is from Unacademy, 18 is from Unacademy, 87 is from Unacademy. Okay, there were 77 and 101 learners completely from Unacademy who have got 99.5 and above percentile, okay? So they were only learning from the top educators inside Unacademy by taking the Plus and Iconic subscription. So if you people want to take your rank to the next level, so I suggest you to basically go for this plus subscription. You can take it for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and 24 months, okay? You can definitely use my code in order to get the maximum possible discount. This is my code. Use this, get the maximum possible discount. Even EMI options are available as well. If you go for this one, you don't have to pay the entire amount at once. You just have to pay what? You can pay it every single month. What's up? What's up? How are you? I am exactly fine. What about you people? You doing great? Okay. So next thing we have over here, you can take this iconic subscription for 12 months, for 18 months, for 24 months. This code, if you use, you can definitely get the maximum possible discount. Use this code. Next thing, I'll tell you what are the prices right now going on, okay? Before this, biggest scholarship test for IIT JEE aspirants, okay? I want you people to basically go for this one, okay? Everybody. Yes, everybody. I want all of you to basically enroll in this one scholarship test. You can definitely win up to 4 crore plus scholarship. If you don't want 4 crore scholarship, at least get the rank from 1 to 3. You'll get the free subscription, 100% scholarship on Unacademy. What's wrong in getting that? If you get this rank, you'll be getting 75% scholarship, okay? So try to at least go for this one. You can enroll in this one by using this code. Use my code Yawar, that's mentioned over here. Go for this right now. Enroll in this one. I want everybody of you to basically enroll in this one, combat, so that you'll get the, I want you people to join me on Plus, because I'll be launching the course from first itself on Plus itself, okay? That will be the next level course. So get this 100% scholarship and join me over there by taking this one. This is completely for free. You just have to give the test. That's all. It will be on exactly 26th of September, 11 a.m. Okay? Use this code in order to enroll in this one. Everybody. And this is basically the prices will rise. Understand? If you take the Plus subscription right now, you'll be getting 10% off. And see, before price hike and this is after price hike. You can basically check it out on the screen itself. And now this is the mega combo IIT JEE plus CBSE. Understand? If you take this Plus subscription over here for 12 months, you'll be getting this much of discount. Understand? Extra discount exactly. If you take it 24 months, you'll be getting this much of discount. Just check it from the screen itself. Use this code Yawar and get this much of discount. That you'll be getting for sure. Okay? Yes. Hi Yawar sir. Kya haal hai? What's up? Hi. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have this beautiful feature on Unacademy that's Ask a Doubt. If you have any sort of doubt, you can definitely post it on Unacademy. You'll get the solution with the speed of light, okay? Within no time. So, you can ask unlimited number of doubts. Whatever the doubt you have, you can ask that person. Okay, ask the doubt anytime. Morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is, you'll get the high quality video solution, that too in English language as well as in Hindi language, in whatever the language you want, okay? And you'll receive the exact match of that question. Now, how you can exactly ask this doubt? There is a feature that is doubts and solutions on Unacademy app. Just click on that. You'll have to take the picture of whatever the doubt is. Upload it on Unacademy. Make sure that doubt is basically clear. There should be no blur, okay? It should not be blurred. And you make sure that you crop that particular doubt. It's not like you'll send 5 or 10 questions in one single picture. No, that's not permissible. So at once you can only send one doubt, and once that is done, afterwards you can send unlimited number of doubts, okay? So mark that, crop that particular doubt, and you'll get the solution within no time. And this is what? These are the rules and protocols, do's and don'ts, what you need to keep in your mind, so that while you basically ask this doubt, while you go for this doubt and solutions. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're gonna be talking about that's nothing but friction. What this friction is all about. We'll be talking about this in very detail. There's a new chapter, there's a sub chapter, whatever you call it, okay? So we're gonna be talking about this in detail and some of the problems as well. Let's go, okay? Let's kill it. So first of all, what is this friction all about? People keep saying every single time, sir, there's friction. What is this friction all about? That we need to exactly look at right now, everybody. Okay, is everybody feeling nice? Is everybody clear with everything? Okay, I just need to know in the live chat. Shall we start? Huh? Come on, all of you. Give me a signal in the live chat, thumbs up, whatever. heart what, then I'll go accordingly. Okay. Yo. Okay, listen to me very carefully. If I say, for example, I have a surface over here, fine. And I have this block on the surface. I'll tell you basically what is the exact feel of this one. I have this surface and there is a block placed on the surface. Previously, I told you, when we were dealing with Newton's laws of motion in the first lecture itself, when we were talking about the forces, whenever the two bodies come in contact with each other, they start applying the force on each other. Understand how? See, whenever the two bodies come in contact with each other, this is what we call the surface. This is surface. Okay. And this is what we call the box. These are the two surfaces over here. Whenever the two bodies come in contact with each other, there we say charged particles, electrons, protons, understand, atoms, molecules, they come in contact with each other. We say atoms of this one, charged particles of this box. These are the charged particles of the box. Okay. Let me just give you this feel of the friction exactly. We say these are the charged particles, atoms of the box over here. And I'll just show you the charged particles of this surface. This is the box, this is the surface. They come in contact with each other. This is the box, this is the surface. They come in contact with each other. This will have its own atoms, molecules, charged particles, whatever you say. This will have its own particles exactly. So they will exactly come in contact with each other. I would say these will come in contact with each other. I would show it definitely like this. Okay. So it is something like this. The pattern is something like this. Fine. So at that point of time, I told you this particle is applying the force on this one. This particle is applying the force on this one. Understand? They basically start the electromagnetic force on each other. This will apply the electromagnetic force on this one. This will apply the electromagnetic force on this one. I would show something like this. I would show something like this, something like this, something like this. Okay. In these direction. Previously, I told you it was directly in the upward direction and the resultant is coming out to be upward direction. Today, I will give you the exact feel how exactly this contact force is basically being applied. Okay. So we say these are the charged particles over here. We say these are the, so force is between these charged particles. This is applying on this one. This is applying on this one. This is applying on this one. That's a push based force away from this one. Okay, fine. So I say basically it is something like this. It is something like this. It is something like this on this one. This is the force. This is the force. This is the force. It is something like this. These are the forces over here. This is what we call the small contact forces. Means whenever the charged particles come in contact with each other, whenever the two bodies come in contact with each other, they start applying the force on each other. That's what we call the electromagnetic force. Now listen to me very carefully. This is at the microscopic level. Listen to me very carefully. If I say, for example, the resultant of all these upper forces is coming out to be something like this. Okay, it is not always perpendicular. Don't say this contact force. Previously, I told you because at that point of time, we were dealing with the normal force only. Now it's friction. We have to go in detail what exactly the scenario is. What is the scenes? What are the scenes that are happening over here? Fine. Okay, that's great. That's great. Listen to me very carefully. So this is the contact force on this box, I would say, or on the net contact force on these charged particles, or I would say on this box in this direction. Okay, it's not always that is perpendicular to this box. Now, the second point over here is the force, net force will be on these charged particles, which is in the downward direction, which is the charged particles of this surface, charged particles of. So I would say the net force on this surface will be something like this. Fine. This force and this force. Now, this is what we call the contact force. This is what we call the contact force. Okay. This is called the contact force. And this is what we call the contact force. Whenever the two bodies come in contact with each other, there applies a force. That's what we call the contact force. Now, the point comes. If I say, can you resolve this contact force in two different vectors, in two different forces over here? You will say, yes, we can resolve this one. So can I say, if we resolve this contact force, can I say it will be something like this? 100% it will be something like this. One component will be something like this. And can I say another component will be something like this? 100% another component will be something like this. I'm resolving this one. This one component, this is the another component, sine, cos, that resolution of factors. So now this perpendicular component, previously I told you this perpendicular component of contact force is called normal force. Okay, normal force. This is what we call the normal force that we have studied previously. Everybody clear with this? Now, same is the case over here. This polar component, I'll just write it over here. Polar component of contact force is called friction. Frictional force. Fine. So this perpendicular component is what? That is what we call the normal force. This is what we call the frictional force. This acts perpendicular to the point of contact, and this is parallel to that point of contact. It is parallel to this one. This is perpendicular to this parallel over here. Same goes with over here. Same goes with this surface. This was the scenario with the box. So on the box, the normal force is acting in the upward direction. I call this N. And this is the frictional force in the backward direction. Same goes with this one. Same goes with the surface. You'll say, sir, we can resolve this vector in also two components. Yes, 100%. So first vector, can I just write it like this? Can I just show it like this? Yes. So can I say this will be friction exactly over here? 100%. And another component will be something like this. This is what we call the normal force. This is the normal force that's acting on the surface. This is the normal force that's acting on the box. Understand? This is the friction that's acting on this surface. This is the friction that's acting on this surface. That's why we say Newton's second, third law is also being applied over here. Okay, that's valid over here. Okay, every action there is equal and opposite reaction. If we say this, who is applying this normal and friction on this one? Obviously, it is this surface. So this surface is applying the friction and normal on this. This is applying the contact force. We resolve that contact force in two components, this one and this one. This is what we call normal. This is what we call this one. Same goes with this one. When these charged particles come in contact with these, they will apply the contact force. We resolve that. So we say this body is applying the friction on this one. This body is applying the normal force on this one. Okay. So equal. There is equal and every action there is equal and opposite reaction. Okay, Newton's third law. N on different bodies, they are having the same nature. This will be friction, this will be friction. Contact force. Everybody clear with this? Come on, in the live chat, give me some signal if you got done with this. So this is basically this is what we call the formation of friction. Formation of friction. It will exactly give you the feel what is exactly happening. So this is how friction is basically being created. I'll tell you after some time what exactly friction is. Okay, chill. There is a beautiful sequence that I'm going to be basically making you understand. Before that, let's talk about this friction at microscopic level. Okay, let's talk about this after some time. Listen to me very carefully. Fine, we'll talk about this friction at microscopic level after some time. Everybody clear with this? Okay. So now let's talk about this friction. We say friction is something that opposes the relative motion. This is the exact definition. Understand? Friction is something that opposes the relative motion. Now see, if we say, for example, there is a ball that's basically moving on a floor. After some time it stops. Why? Because of the friction. Basically, when it basically is being rubbed with this surface, so it is being stopped by the surface. So surface will basically apply the force on this ball in the backward direction. So that's why it stops. If we say it's because of the friction, okay? We can hold something. Yes, we can hold something. It is because of the friction. Understand? I'll tell you everything, okay? So we say exact definition of this friction is something that opposes the relative motion. What exactly is that? Listen to me very carefully. I'm saying that this is a block. This is basically going in a forward direction. If, for example, we are applying some force on this and it is moving in the forward direction, this block is moving in the forward direction. Now, with respect to this block, from, if, for example, you are sitting inside this block, understand? So with respect to you, this block is going in the forward direction. So friction will act in that way so that it will oppose its relative motion. So with respect to this, what is its motion? This is, we are defining the relative motion, because with respect to this block is basically moving in the forward direction. So this block will apply the friction on this block in the backward direction. On this upper block, I call this a FAB. Understand? That is friction on this A block due to this B block. Friction on A block due to this B block. Fine. Same will happen with this one. Now, with respect to this, if this is moving forward, now you are inside this block. If I ask you, now you are inside this block. If I ask you, with respect to you, this block is going exactly where? You'll say, if I am moving forward, this block is going in a backward direction. So clearly in that case, it is something like you are moving in a car. Understand? You are moving in a car. So there is some other person, if there is the person over here who is at rest, okay, when you basically cross this car, it feels like for you that person is going in a backward direction. Understand? So it feels like that is moving in a backward direction. So that's a relative motion concept. That's because of the relative motion. Same happens over here. These two bodies are in contact with each other. As I told you, whenever the two bodies are in contact with each other, there exists a force. That's what we call the normal force and the frictional force. Understand? So when this body, if I say, for example, this body is trying to move in a forward direction, friction will act in a backward direction. That's why it will stop. For example, if I say this is a surface over here, you are applying some sort of force on the surface, external force. Still the block is, you are not able to move this block. Why? Because this is applying the friction on this block. That's why you're not able to move the block. If, for example, this block is moving with some velocity, after some time it will come and rest as it is. Why? Is there any external force acting on this one? No. So it's because of the friction. You say air friction, fluidic friction, okay? What is relative motion? Then you have to go back, okay? I have basically given a good lecture on relative motion. Now clear, okay? If still you need more clarification on this, what is this relative motion and all about? There is a one shot available on JEE English Unacademy. I have given the lecture previously. You can definitely watch that out. Okay. If it is clear, if it is not clear, fine. With respect to me, what is the motion of that person? That is relative motion. Now see, so over here we say, okay. So over here we say this will basically stop. Why? Because of the friction, because of this fluidic friction. This is what we call air friction, fluidic friction, okay? Air resistance, whatever the name you want to give it. So that's what we call. Same goes for over here. With respect to this block, this block is moving in a backward direction. So friction will act on this block in the forward direction. Understand? On this block as well. Newton's third law, we have to basically obey the Newton's third law. So that is the friction on B due to this A. Friction, whenever I say friction, means I'm talking about the frictional force, okay? Friction is the short form. Fine. So this is the scene. So that's why friction is something that opposes the relative motion. This will not let this block to move in a forward direction because it will pull it in a backward direction. It will tell him, no, don't go in a forward direction. Understand? So same is the case with this one. If this is moving in a backward direction, this will not let it move in a backward direction. It will apply the friction on this one. Now you will say, sir, if these two bodies are not in contact with each other, will the friction apply? No. Friction is a contact force. Whenever there is a contact between two bodies, friction is there. You will say, sir, is it possible that there is no friction in between any two surfaces in this real life? We say those surfaces are ideal surfaces, not practically possible. We assume, for example, there is no friction between my hand and this hand, both of my hands. There is no friction between this. This is an ideal concept. Understand? We can reduce this friction by using some agents, external agents, but we cannot neglect it completely. Understand? So that's an ideal concept. So everything clear till here, okay? Friction acts tangentially along the contacts. Understand? Parallelly, tangentially. You will say, see, this is tangentially. This is at this. If this is a point of contact, this is tangent to this one. It's tangent to this one. And what happens when normal acts? Normal is perpendicular to this one. Normal is perpendicular to this one. And we say this friction depends upon normal force. We say this friction depends upon normal force. Why? See, why does this friction depend upon normal force? Because normal force as well as friction, both are basically, I would say, this is the parent and these are the two children, okay? This is the son and this is the another son. This is the father, okay? So they will be having the relation. If between the two blocks, normal force is more, means contact force is more, means friction will be also more. Understand? Because this and this is obviously the component of this contact force. Understand? If I say contact force over here is more, means friction will be more, means normal force will be more. If I say normal force in this case is more, I would say friction is more. I would say this contact force is more. Clear? Come on, I just need to know in the live chat, drop a crystal clear if it is clear to you. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Now, let's move. I'll tell you this friction at microscopic level after some time. Before this, we have to basically learn the static and kinetic friction. So we say there are two types of friction, okay? The first one is basically the contact, static friction, and that is the kinetic friction, okay? Yes, yes. Okay, Kushi is here. Welcome to JEE English Unacademy. Yeah, time changed. 5 o'clock today. Yeah. Daily 2 lectures are not possible, sir. PS is live. I'll try. Okay, from first, we'll try to put up 2 lectures every single day. Okay. Most probably it will be on 5 o'clock from tomorrow onwards. Okay. Yes, every day I can take this as 5 o'clock at 5 o'clock. Okay. And there is no issue from my side. Okay. Okay, that's great. Okay, now listen to this beautiful conversation. Now listen to this beautiful lecture. Now what I'm gonna basically make you understand over here. Okay, so we say basically there are two types of friction. The first one is static friction and the next one is kinetic friction. What is this kinetic friction and static friction? Static, as the name itself says, that it must be some sort of at rest. When the body is at rest, at that point of time is that friction. That's what we call the static friction. And this kinetic friction, whenever the body comes in motion, at that point of time, the friction is what we call the kinetic friction. Okay. 6:30 is on Unacademy. Okay, fine. Now listen to me very carefully, everybody. Okay, so we say, for example, this is a block over here. Fine. And this is the surface. This is the surface. This is the block. Now you started applying the force on this one, external force. Now, when you start applying the external force on this one, the block is too heavy. The block is not moving from its original position. So what does the Newton's second law says? It says, sir, F is equal to mass times of acceleration. If there is a force on any block, there will be acceleration. You will say, sir, over here acceleration is 0. So Newton's law is not valid over here. Is it real? Is it for real? So now have a look on this one. So what is happening exactly? Understand? So when we apply force, when we are applying the force on this block, the block is not moving in a forward direction. Understand? Why? The block is heavy. So in that case, I would say when the two bodies come in contact with each other, there is a force acting. That's what we call the contact force. And that contact force will have two components. First one is the normal component. Second one is the polar component. That's what we call the friction. So there is a friction acting on this in a backward direction. Understand? So friction will act on this in a backward direction. That will not let you move the block to go in a forward direction. Understand? Because friction opposes the relative motion. Friction also opposes the tendency to move the relative motion. Understand? If this body is about to move, understand, if this body has the not about to move, if this body has the tendency to move, so friction will act on this one because friction will oppose. So if we say friction is acting in the backward direction, that is not letting this body to move in a backward direction, to move in a forward direction. So friction is acting. Who is applying this friction? We say this surface is acting, because with respect to this surface, this is doing the relative motion, this is moving in a forward direction. So this will apply the friction on this one in a backward direction. Contact force in a backward direction. Okay? Yeah. Okay. So we say, now what is this F is equal to ma? Sir, you will say, sir, your Newton's second law is basically very unclear. Understand? You don't know the exact Newton's law. You don't know the meaning of Newton's law. I'm saying, okay. So you're saying, sir, this is not F. This is what we call the F net over here. Understand? This is also not the Newton's second law. F is equal to dp by dt is the exact Newton's second law. So we say this is the net force is equal to mass times of x. If there is a net force, then there will be the acceleration in this body. In this case, we say net force is 0. The force you are applying on this side, friction is acting on this body in a backward direction. So this force is killing this force. So we say basically net force is coming out to be 0. So that's why in this case, net force is coming out to be 0. So we say acceleration in this case is 0. Fine. That's why the block is not moving. This is a friction acting. Listen to this very beautiful conversation. Now, what exactly I'm doing over here is I am increasing this force, I'm increasing this external force in the right direction. You're saying, okay, still the block is not moving. So means there is more friction. More friction is acting on this block. More you increase this force, more friction is acting on this block. So we say the friction that is acting on this block when the block is still at rest, this is nothing but static friction. Understand? This is nothing but static friction. So for example, we say this static friction is nothing but this is a self-adjusting force. Self-adjusting force. What that exactly is means if you are applying 5 newtons of force on this block, the friction will act 5 newtons from their side. It is not, because the block is not moving. That's why net force is coming out to be 0. This force is killing this force. You will say, sir, is it acting at this point only? Yes, it is, because this is a contact force. It will not act over here. It will act in this direction only, or in this direction, that will be on this surface. Understand? So we say this is a self-adjusting force. You are applying 50 newtons. If I say block is still not moving, means friction acting on this block is 50 newtons in the opposite direction. Understand? So we say this is 50, this is 15. That's why self-adjusting force. The more you apply the external force, this static friction I'm talking about, the more you apply the external force, the more friction will basically increase. Understand? Now, for example, you reached some value, you reached some value, 70 newtons, okay? Now, if you increase 71 newtons, if you apply the 71 newtons, the block will move. So 70 newtons is the maximum force that this block can basically bear, that this block can exactly bear from moving in the forward direction. So I would say in this case, can I say in this case, maximum friction it can apply. That is what we call the static friction. Maximum static friction, maximum value of static friction can be in this case, that is nothing but 70 Newton. If I say after 70 Newton, if this is 71 Newtons, the block will move. So maximum value of this static friction will come out to be 70 Newton only. Fine. Everybody understanding this? I just need to know in the live chat. Come on, man. All of you. Using all of my energy. Okay. Okay, that's great. Now, so we say this is self-adjusting force, that's okay. So means, or we say this is variable force, okay? Variable force, variable friction. Okay, the more you apply this one, the more friction will act till some value, till some certain value. After 70, if I'm saying this can bear 70 Newtons, so it will apply the 70 Newtons of frictional force in that case. So afterwards, the block will basically start moving in the forward direction. Understand? So when I say maximum value, what is the maximum value of the friction over here? You are saying, sir, when we are applying the 70 Newtons external force, means at 70 Newtons, this block, this surface is also applying on this block, that's a 70 Newton of friction. So means in that case, the 70 Newton is the maximum value of the static friction over here. We say static friction because the body is still at rest. Once it becomes 71 Newton, the body will start moving in the forward direction. That maximum value of friction, when the body is after which the body is about to move, when the body is about to move, after which the body will exactly move, that maximum value of friction, that I'll just write it over here, that maximum value of static friction when the body is about to move is called, can you guys tell me in the live chat, what do we call that? Is called limiting friction. Limiting friction. Okay, this is what we call that limiting friction. And we represent this limiting friction with what? That is FL is nothing but limiting friction. Limiting friction. Understand? This is limiting friction. So after this friction, the body will basically what? The body will start moving. The body will start moving in the forward direction. So this is the maximum value of this friction. That is what we say over here. Understand? Okay. And you can definitely say, instead of this static friction, you can definitely say it maximum value of friction only. Why maximum value of friction only? Because kinetic friction after this will be obviously less than this static friction, because it is difficult to make the body in motion rather than keeping the body in motion. Understand? That is the point over here. समझ आया क्या? Got it, man? So we say this is nothing but limiting friction. Now you will say, sir, what is the formula for limiting friction? I would say the formula for limiting friction is simply that is mu this S times of this N, where S is this what? Static friction. You'll say, sir, this can be the formula for static friction. There is no formula for static friction because this static friction is a variable force. You apply more force over here, static friction will be more till some certain value. Understand? So the value of this static friction is, it can basically go from 0 to F limiting. Understand? Value of this static friction. Keep this thing in your mind. It can be either 0, it can be till limiting friction. Understand? When the body is at rest, we say the friction acting in that case is what we call the static friction, and the maximum value of that friction is what we call the limiting friction, and that's what we basically say over here. So the value of this is mu S times of N. You will say, sir, why this friction is acting, why this friction does depend upon this normal force? I told you previously, because both normal force and this friction, they are the components of a contact force. Contact force is more between the two bodies. If contact force is more, electromagnetic force is more, we say friction is more, normal force is more. Or if normal force is more, we say friction is more. We say contact force is more. They have the relation with each other. That's why I have told you this previously. And what is this mu S? Mu S is what? This is what we call the coefficient of static friction. Okay? Coefficient of static friction. This is what we call the coefficient of static friction. What does that mean? Coefficient of static friction mean, for example, this is a body, this is another body. So these are the two surfaces. Surface of this body, this is the surface of this another body. So coefficient of static friction, this coefficient of friction depends upon the surfaces which are in contact with each other. Understand? If these two surfaces are having more coefficient of friction, so they will apply more friction in that case. So we say this friction, this surface, it depends, this coefficient of static friction, किधर लिखूं? It depends upon, इसको इधर लिखता हूं, depends upon nature, of the surfaces. Okay? It actually depends upon the nature of the surfaces. If the surface is rough over here, we say friction will be more. Understand? So for example, there is a smooth surface, we say friction in that case is less. So because coefficient of friction will be in that case less. So between different surfaces, this coefficient of static friction is a different. Like previously I have told you, if I have a charge over here, this is another charge. If we place these two charges in air, over here we say permittivity, epsilon naught. Understand? Permittivity of free space, epsilon naught. Force will be more as compared to if we place the same two charges in case of any medium. Understand? Over there, what was the medium? F is equal to K, Q1, Q2 by R square. K was basically representing over there. Yes. K was basically representing, that was basically defining what is the force between two charged particles in any medium. Same is the case over here. This will exactly, it will kind of tell you what is the force between any two surfaces. This coefficient of static friction when the body is exactly at rest. So this is all about the static friction and limiting friction. Everybody got it, man? Come on, give me a thumbs up. Okay, that's great. Okay. Or you can directly, you can call this as coefficient of static friction or coefficient of limiting friction. One and the same thing. Fine. Okay, that's great. Now let's talk about the kinetic friction. Let's move on to the kinetic friction. So now, we say, listen to me very carefully. We say this is a kinetic friction. Understand what this kinetic friction is all about? Now we're going to be defining this one. Listen to me very carefully. If I say this is a block over here, fine. This block, okay, I'll define few of the cases over here. Those are the important cases. I'll just tell you. अरे यार ये तो गायब ही हो गया. Shit. No, बच गया. Okay, so I got this one. Duplicate. Okay, I'll just basically put it over here. Let me just tell you. Now see, if I, for example, say case number one, in this case, case number one, okay? Suppose, for example, this is a block. You are applying the force on this block, okay? You are applying the force on this block F. And there is a friction acting on this block that's in the backward direction, okay? This is what we call the friction, okay? Fine. So if you applied, for example, this force, if I say in this case, this force is more than this force, understand? Or if I say, for example, this force is less than this force, what's gonna happen in that case? You will say, sir, in that case, this block will be exactly at rest. If I say, for example, this F is less than this F limiting, understand? This F external is, F limiting is what? Maximum frictional force this can basically exert. After that maximum frictional force, this block can exactly move in the forward direction, okay? After that frictional force, this can exactly move in a forward direction, understand? See, so we say this external force is basically less than this F limiting, that is limiting friction. So in that case, can I basically say in that case over here, can I basically say in that case, this body will not move in a forward direction, this body will not. So I would say in that case, the acceleration of this body will be exactly 0, understand? Now the second case over here, I can definitely define, these are just the statements, okay? So the second point over here is basically, in this case, second point is over here basically, what? We say this second point is exactly, if this force is exactly become this equal to this force, after which the body will exactly move. So till that point, the body will not exactly move, because after that, because that will be equal to the limiting force exactly. After that force, the body will exactly start moving in a forward direction. Point number 2. The point number 3 is, if this force becomes more than this force, limiting friction, in that case, the body will have acceleration. In that case, the body will have net force in this forward direction. So in that case, body will have acceleration, so body will move in a forward direction. Keep these things in your mind. Now comes the point of this limiting friction over here. Listen to me very carefully. If I say, for example, this is a block exactly. This is a block on the surface, okay? You are applying the force on this block in a forward direction. You are applying a force on this block in a forward direction, okay? You are applying the force on a block in this forward direction, okay? Coefficient of friction depends upon nature of the two surfaces, okay? Normal force is what? First of all, I told you in the beginning itself, in the starting slide itself, normal force is what? Normal force is how much is basically the pushing force between the two electrons, between the two charged particles, how much is they are pushing each other. Just go on to the slide number 1 that I explained in the beginning itself, okay? You'll get to understand that. Understand? Normal force is mg. We say N is equal to mg in that case. This coefficient of static friction, it is what? This is a constant. We say not constant over here. We say this coefficient of static friction is what? This is nothing but it depends upon the nature of the two, क्या बोलते हैं इसको? Nature of the two substances. Understand? Nature of the two surfaces over here. Accordingly, it is basically that. Go to the first slide. Now listen to me very carefully. So we say basically this is the force acting on this block over here. Fine. So we say if this is a force acting on this block and in the backward direction, in this case, if I say this force is acting, in the backward direction friction is acting. So you applied more force, for example 10 Newton, the body is not moving, understand, because friction is acting. You applied 15 Newton, friction is 15 Newton, static friction I'm talking about, okay? 15 Newton, 15 Newton. You applied 20 Newton, 20 Newton. Once you apply 21 Newton, the body starts moving in the forward direction. So means, what is the maximum value of this one? You will say, sir, maximum value of this one is clearly, that is this F limiting. That is what limiting friction, that is 20. We said 20 is nothing but the maximum value of this friction. Fine. So when the body starts moving, in a forward direction, still, if you, for example, applied some force on this block, imagine there is no air friction, there is no air resistance. Listen to me very carefully. So the body is now moving in a forward direction. Now, if you, for example, leave this force, you are saying, sir, only static friction is possible. I am saying that kinetic friction is also possible. See, so when the body comes in motion, now you stop applying this external force. What's going to happen after some time? This body will come at rest as it is. Why as it is? It is because of the friction. So means when the body is in motion, still some sort of friction is acting on this body. That is what we call the kinetic friction. Whenever the body comes in motion, At that point of time, the friction acting on that body, we say that is kinetic friction. And this kinetic friction is always, we say this is less than the static friction, not less than, this is less than the limiting friction. Static friction is variable, okay? This is less than the limiting friction, because that is the maximum value of friction. Afterwards, this kinetic friction is what we call this is the constant friction. I'll tell you after some time why this is constant friction. So whenever the body comes in motion, we say the friction acting at that point of time, that is what we call the static, that's what we call the kinetic friction. Initially, the three frictions are there. We say static, limiting, kinetic. First, till the body is not moving, this is at rest, we say static is applying. When the friction reaches the maximum value, we say limiting friction is applying. Now, when the body is moving, afterwards the friction is also basically acting on this block, because of that friction only it will stop after some time. So until and unless you start applying, you keep on continuing this external force, the body will keep on moving. Understand? It will keep on killing that one. Understand? So we say this kinetic friction is less than the limiting friction. Why? Because it is difficult for you to basically move this block initially rather than when the body is in motion. It is for example, this is a car over here, okay? If I say, for example, push this car in a forward direction, it gets very difficult for us to basically move this block initially. But once this car comes in motion, afterwards it becomes easy for it. It doesn't require that much of force basically in order to move in a forward direction. So that's why we say, because static friction or that limiting friction is more initially, we have to kill that limiting friction. Once we do that, afterwards it becomes easy for us to basically, that's the maximum value of static friction. Limiting friction is the maximum value of static friction. अरे यार, when did you come to class? कितने बजे क्लास में आए? अभी आए क्या? तभी ये confusions आ रहे हैं उत्कर्ष के दिमाग में. That's why. Or you are in the class from the starting itself? Are you in the class from the starting itself? Okay, so this is the scenario over here. So we say this, we represent this kinetic friction with this Fk once the body is in motion. Understand? Now, when the body comes in motion, afterwards, if you stop applying this force, or this force basically decreases, this kinetic friction increases. So in that case, the body will have acceleration or negative acceleration. So in that case, we'll say the body will basically deaccelerate. It will stop eventually after some time, because this backward force will increase in that case. You getting me what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So that is what happens over here. We say this limiting friction is nothing but it is equal to mu k times of n. Same is the case over here, where this mu k is what? Coefficient of this limiting friction. Let me just give you the feel over here. Friction at microscopic level. See, this is the clear feel. Listen to me very carefully. If I say this is a block, okay, this is a block, this is a surface. Okay, now see, this is a block, this is a surface. This is the microscopic view. Okay, and this is the surface and this is the block. This is the view from the normal eye view. Understand? We can see clearly. If we see with our normal eyes, we can exactly see it like this. We say this two surfaces are basically smooth. But if we see the same from the microscopic point of view, in that case, we say there are the irregularities over here. So this friction is basically because of these irregularities. This is the another theory, okay? So this is also true. This friction is true even at the atomic level. Understand? At subatomic level, the friction is present over there as well. So we say this friction is because of the irregularities over here. See, when you see these irregularities, when we place this block on this surface, so these irregularities will basically start making kind of bonds with each other. They will start applying the force on each other. So they will get stick to each other. You understand it like this. They will get stick to each other. Now, if I say you start basically applying the external force in this case, you say, sir, we'll start applying external force in order to move this body in a forward direction. So in that case, you will have to break these irregularities. Okay, so once you break these irregularities, afterwards the block will move in a forward direction. Still there will be irregularities in the forward direction also, in the upcoming surface also, but you can kill those irregularities easily. But it is difficult for you to kill the irregularities when the body is at rest or initially. That's why we say this mu s, this static friction is greater than this mu k, kinetic friction, because it is difficult for us to basically move the body initially rather than afterwards. Understand? When the body comes in motion. That is the main point over here. That's why I am saying. So we say this is equal to this one. Fine. Okay. This was the till here. Now let's basically, this is the graph over here. The graph will be something like this. Okay. Then it is constant afterwards. This is constant. Okay. So we say this is a constant. Understand? The graph is coming out to be like this. Why is this static? We say this static friction is variable. See, if you apply, for example, it's directly proportional to that external force. If you apply, for example, 1 Newton, the friction will be 1 Newton. If you apply 2 Newton, the friction will be 2 Newtons. Because this is a self-adjusting force. The more you apply the external force, the more will be the static friction. Less you apply the external force, less will be the static friction. Once you reach the maximum value of static friction, afterwards, what comes into play? That's what we call the kinetic friction. So this is the maximum value. This is F max, this maximum friction over here. Then afterwards, it keeps on decreasing and then it becomes constant. I have given you the explanation clearly. Okay, fine. No, kinetic friction remains constant. That's what I am saying. Friction will increase from this point to this point. It keeps on increasing. Then it decreases because F max, this is the maximum value of friction. F limiting is maximum value of friction. It is more than even kinetic friction, but it decreases after some point. At that, after that, it decreases and becomes constant. Okay. Yeah, limiting friction is greater than this one. Okay, the maximum value of this friction. Come on, everybody. Ria, get it? You understood now? Arey yaar. If this is a block over here, fine. You are applying 5 newtons of force, okay? This is applying the 5 newtons in a backward direction. The block is still at rest. Means now block is at rest. What is the friction acting? You are saying that static friction is acting. More you applied 5 newton more means 10 newton now. So 10 Newton will be the static friction. Understand? Now, once you apply 11 Newton, block will start moving in a forward direction. So what is the maximum value of this friction? You are saying, sir, when we apply 10 Newton, the maximum value of that will be what? 10 Newton only. Once the block started moving in a forward direction, afterwards, it will be easy for you to basically move the block. Hey, yaar, bola na. It is simple. For example, this is a car over here. You are pushing this car. Initially, it gets difficult for us to basically move the car, because static friction applies, limiting friction applies till you reach the limiting value. Understand? So maximum value. Once the car moves in a forward direction, then it gets easy for us to basically push that car. Arey graph, graph mein kya hai? See, this graph is basically from this point to this point. This is representing the static friction. If you apply 1 Newton, if this is a block, you are applying 1 Newton. So 1 Newton is basically the static friction, because this is a variable friction, okay? It depends upon the external force. The more you apply external force, the more will be. If you apply 0 external force, static friction is 0. So we say friction 1, external force 1. This is external force versus friction. If you apply 1 Newton external force, this is 1. 2, 2, 2. Once you reach the maximum value, afterwards, what comes into play? Then once you reach the maximum value after limiting friction, that's the maximum value of friction. What comes into body will move in a forward direction. This body will move in a forward direction. If this body moves in forward direction, what is the friction that will apply? You will say, sir, Fk. And that friction is basically constant. So that's what I'm saying. This is the friction. It reduces afterwards because this is the maximum value. Then it reduces and becomes constant. अरे यहाँ पे दिया ना फॉर्मूला यार, इधर पे माइक्रोस्कोपिक लेवल पे आई टोल्ड यू, at microscopic level I gave you the feel, okay? Irregular, how friction is basically being formed, how static friction is basically being formed, okay? So these are the irregularities. Once you break these irregularities, afterwards there will be less irregularities in comparison to this one. Understand? Because you have broke some of the irregularities. So afterwards there won't be that much of irregularities. That's why kinetic friction will basically decrease afterwards. Let's move on to this one. Come on. I want you people to solve this question. Can you tell me what is the direction of friction in this case? Come on, everybody in the live chat, I just need to know. Come on, in the live chat, I just need to know. Can you tell me what is basically the direction of friction in this case? Force acting on this block in a backward direction, 1 newtons. This is moving with velocity is equal to 5 meters per second in the forward direction. In this case, could you please tell me on this block, what is the direction of friction? What is the direction of kinetic friction? And on the block exerted by the ground, on the ground exerted by the block, on both. Come on, in the live chat. And the correct relation between the magnitude of F1 and F2. Kya hoga? What is the relation between this and this? Is F1 greater than this, F2 greater than this one, this one, this one? Come on. Towards V. Hey, yeah. Friction is something that opposes the relative motion. If this block, with respect, this is moving in a forward direction, so this will try to stop this block. This is moving in a forward direction. Don't basically look at this force. That's why this is the confusing question. Okay, don't look at the force. Look at the motion of this block. Understand? The motion of the block is in forward direction. So we say this block is moving in a forward direction with respect to the surface. Okay, there is a person who is on the surface. So we say the friction will act in a backward direction. Okay. We say the friction on this block will act in a backward direction because friction is trying to pull the block in a backward direction. It is not letting the block to move, do the relative motion. Okay. This somebody is saying F2 is. Hey, yaar. This is, I'm not asking you to tell me the relation between kinetic friction and static friction. You are saying part B. This is the friction. On this block, if the block is moving in a forward direction, friction will act to this one. I call that F1. This is the force on, this is F1 on block. Fine. And on this surface, if I talk about the surface, this surface is moving. I know the surface is at rest, but with respect to this one, it feels when you are inside the car, it feels for you the ground. If there is a surface, if you see from the window, understand, it feels for you that surface is going in a backward direction. Same is the case. This is a case of relative motion. Understand? This is physics. So we say, in this case, the surface is going in a backward direction. So friction on this will act in a forward direction. So I call that F2. So this is, both are basically the frictions over here. Don't say this is kinetic, this is static, this is kinetic, this is kinetic, this is kinetic. What is the relation between this one and this one? Okay. Every action there is equal and opposite reaction. Can I say this? Can I say this, everybody? Okay. The amount of force this will apply on this one, same amount of force this will apply on this one. If the two bodies are in contact with each other, if this body is in contact with each other, the amount of normal force this will apply on this one, same amount of normal force this will apply on this one. Why? Because the atoms, molecules, the charged particles of this atom will, of this body will apply the same force on the charged particles of this body. There will be same electromagnetic force on both of these. So normal force will be same, contact force will be same. So in that case, frictional force will be same. Arey, usko chodo yahan pe. You just have to tell me the direction only over here. And the magnitude, same. This is the relation over here. Contact force, normal force, 100 times. Again and again, you are confusing yourself. Action, reaction, yes. Again and again, you are confusing yourself. Again, asking, sir, normal force, does it depend on that? Okay, if you talk in terms of normal force also, the amount of normal force this will apply on this one, same is applying on this one also. Previously, when we were talking about this, for forces and laws of motion, that's why your basics are very, very, very unclear, okay? Because you don't come in the regular classes, that's why this happens. This I have told you 100 times before. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Now, solve this question. This is a good question. I want you people to solve this and do let me know what is the answer in the live chat itself. Come on, everybody of you. Tell me, what is the correct answer of this one? Fine. A block of 5 kg mass is resting on a surface, rough surface, as shown in the figure. It is acted upon by a force F towards the right. Find frictional force acting on the block when F is equal to 5 Newton, 25 Newton, 50 Newtons. Come on. Come on, tell me. Block, there is a 5 kg block exactly over here. It's a 5 kg block resting on the surface. Okay. It is acted upon by an external force. That is a force of F. This force is acting on this one. You are supposed to tell me what is the frictional force acting on this block when the value of this force is 5 Newton. First part is when we apply the 5 Newton force on this one, how much will be the frictional force? Point number 1. Point number 2, when we apply the 25 Newton force on this one, what is the frictional force? Point number 2. Point number 3, when we apply the 50 Newton of force on this one, what will be the frictional force? Tell me. This is the mu s, this is mu k that's given over here. Arey yaar. See, first of all, find the limiting force, okay? Find the limiting friction. Afterwards, you will have to solve this question. How can you exactly find the limiting friction over here? Can you tell me? You will say, sir, F limiting is nothing but that is mu s times of n. I'll tell you why do we have to find this F limiting. You'll say, sir, F limiting is nothing but, what is mu s? That is, mu s is given over here, that is 0.6 multiplied by, what is the normal reaction over here? Can you guys tell me? This is m into g, that is 5 into g. Take g as 10 meter per second square, okay? 5 into g, that is 50. So it will come out to be nothing but 30 newtons. Can I say it like that? This is 30 newtons. Fine. So limiting force is coming out to be 30 newtons. So means if limiting force is coming out to be 30 newtons, F limiting, if I say 30 newtons in this case, means the block will not move till you apply the 30 newtons over here, till you apply the 31 newtons. Once you apply the 31 newtons, the block will move in a forward direction. Means what will be the value of static friction? Value of static friction will be in this case from 0 to 30 newtons till maximum limiting friction. Come on, everybody understood in the live chat itself? So we say that will be till 30 newtons, from 0 to 30 newtons. So the part A, what is the answer of this part A? Option A. We say the answer of option A is when you are applying 5 newtons force, the block will not move. So this is applying 5 newtons backward force. So in that case, there will apply static friction. Static friction is how much equal to 5 Newton only. Clearly. Hey, these are not the options, man. These are the paths. Arey yaar. One, don't you understand English? Find the frictional force acting on the block when A is at 5 Newton. We are supposed to solve all the 3 parts. These are not the options. Hey, yaar. If this was the option A, B, C, D, where is the option D? You don't understand. You people don't understand the Angrezi. So, in first case, solve this part A. Part A means limiting friction on this block is acting how much? 30 newtons. Means till 30 newtons, the block will not move. Once you apply 31 newtons, the block will move. So maximum value of this friction is nothing but that is 30 newtons over here. So in that case, can I say this F is less than this F limiting? So I would say body will not move. If the body will not move, means the amount of external force you apply, same external force, same frictional force it will apply in a backward direction. Because we say frictional force is a variable force. Static friction is a variable force. So we say in that case, this F is 5 Newton. We say this limiting friction is, but this will be also 5 Newton. Because the self-adjusting force, it depends upon this one. The more you apply this, now understood, come on, in the live chat, give me a thumbs up if you understood this one. Same goes for the option number B. What happens with the option number B? F is 25 newtons. F is 25 newtons. So F is less than this limiting friction FL. If F is less than this limiting friction FL, This is 30 newtons. So in that case also body will not move. So I can say this frictional force, that is static friction, not limiting, this is static, this is static. So static friction will come out because static friction is a variable force. Limiting is the maximum. So limiting is basically giving us the information till 30 Newton, I will not let the body go in a forward direction. So we say in that case, this FL will be 25 only. Yes, 100%. Okay. What in case of this 30? So in case of the part 3, I'll just show you over here. 30. When F is equal to this 50 Newtons exactly, this 50 Newtons exactly. So when, so in that case, can I say this limiting is, this is less than this F external. So body will move. When the body will move, when body will move, kinetic friction will act. Find the value of that kinetic friction. That is nothing but Fk is equal to mu k times of n. Understand? So that is what you are supposed to find over here. What is the value of mu k? That is given 0.5 and multiplied by this mg over here. That's what you got the answer over here. Fine. Everybody? Yes, object moves afterwards. This. In the third case, understand, in the third case, when we apply this force, so means the body will move. In that case, how much will be limiting friction will act because body is in a motion. So that is, see, I suggest everybody of you to watch. Once I get done with this lecture, I suggest you to watch it once again. It will clear your mind, okay? It will refresh your mind. So this will be nothing but, kitna hai ye? 0. Kitna aaya? 0.5. 0.5 multiplied by 50 था ना, शायद कितना 30 क्या आया गया, ओके ओके 25 done. Yeah, 25. Clear? Done. Watch this once again. Okay, there is a question for you people. This is having the more good level. Okay, the force is acting on this one at 37 degrees. The force is acting on this one at 37 degrees. So you are supposed to tell me the mass initially at rest, coefficient of static friction is given like this. Okay, the coefficient of the block and the surface, coefficient of kinetic friction, that is, this is given like this, force of 50 newtons, this is 50 Newton acting at 37 degrees. Okay, what is the acceleration of the block? You are supposed to tell me the acceleration of the block. Okay, I need to know the answer of this question in the comments. In the comments below. Fine. I'll give you the hint over here as well. Okay, see what you will exactly do. This force will act on this one. So resolve this force in two components. This component will say this is F cos of 37 degrees. If this is theta, this is 37. This is F cos of 37. This is F sine of 37 degrees exactly. Fine. Now, in this case, friction will act in backward direction. I call this as friction. In the downward direction, mg is acting. And in the upward direction, I call n is acting. Okay. Now, first of all, what you will exactly do is you find the value of limiting friction. When you find the value of limiting friction, that will exactly give you the idea if the block will move in a forward direction or not. So afterwards, you find the value of this normal reaction and put it in the values. There will be 2-3 equations that will be made. And yes, tell me the answer of this question in the comments down below. I'll show you this tomorrow if you won't be able to solve this. So this was all about today. Thank you so much. Come on. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the comments down below, okay? So, apart from this YouTube platform, we teach on Unacademy's own platform, okay? Over there, you can take this plus subscription. And in this plus subscription, you will be getting live classes, weekly tests, unlimited access, structured courses, every damn thing, okay? And if you take this Iconic subscription, you will be getting personal guidance, you will be getting test analysis, you will be getting experts guidelines, you will be getting study planners, study material and study planners. These are all the benefits that you're going to get. Understand? In Iconic, you'll be getting all the benefits you get in Plus, and these extra benefits, like this personal guidance is what, that's what we call the personal mentorship. This will help you in cracking the JEE advanced exam as well as mains exam, because a personal mentor will be helping you throughout your exam. So this test analysis, once you are done with the test, afterwards you'll have to analyze your scores so that you'll get to understand every damn thing. This is done in there only. So this is the study material that you will get, the study planners. And you can definitely follow me on Unacademy. This is my name, username Yawar Manzoor over there. And these are the batches which we have launched recently on Unacademy. Like this, they are starting from, not recently, they are starting from today itself. So 29th. This will be starting from 29th itself. The country's top educators are teaching you in this one. So I suggest you to basically go for this one. Okay. Okay. So further, we can say in this case, that is, if you take this plus subscription for 3 months, for 6 months, for 12 months, for 18 months, for 24 months, you can use my code in order to get the maximum possible discount for sure. So use my code in order to get the maximum possible discount. This is my code exactly. Fine. And next we have, you can take this iconic subscription for 12 months, for 18 months, for 24 months. By using my code, you can get the maximum possible discount. Okay. This is the Mega Combat IIT JEE plus CBSE, not CSE. My branch in college was CSE. That's why I keep on saying this again and again. Special class is exactly at 6:30. Join me. Okay. So for 12 months, this is 15% plus 10%, and for 24 months, 20% plus 10%. Definitely you should use my code, then only you'll get this much of discount. And see, guys, I want you people to give this scholarship test as soon as possible. This is a 4 crore plus scholarship. At least if you don't want 4 crore rupees, that's okay. But still, you get the rank from 1 to 3. You'll be getting 100% of scholarship on Unacademy. Okay, use this code. Okay, use this code. This is completely for free. What is wrong in giving this scholarship test? At least give it. If you get this one, get that. If you get the rank from 1 to 3, get this free Unacademy Plus and Iconic subscription. Okay, this will be on 26th of September, 11 a.m. Don't forget to use my code. Okay, this is my suggestion. I suggest you people to go for this one. Okay, next is the price. This you can definitely check it. This is before price hike, this is after price hike. Check this out. Use my code to get the maximum possible discount. And we have this beautiful feature on Unacademy, that's Ask a Doubt. If you have any sort of doubt, you can ask it on Unacademy. You'll get, if you have unlimited number of doubts, you can ask the doubt anytime. You'll get the high quality solutions for sure, and you'll receive the exact match of the questions. And this is doubts and solutions. Whatever the doubt you have, you can definitely ask it and take a picture, upload it on Unacademy, and make sure that you crop that particular doubt and it should not be blurred. You'll get the solution within no time. And ladies and gentlemen, before leaving, I thank you people. It is really nice talking to you. It was really nice talking to you. Okay, thank you so much. And I suggest you to basically like, share and subscribe as soon as possible. And like this video before you leave it. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. Chalo, milte hain.